Hey guys, it's Glenn from glenscarcollection.com, and I'm standing in front of the brand new Mercedes-AMG GT53. Now, we've driven the hardcore AMG one, the 63, 63S with all the horsepower. This is actually the AMG Light, so the AMG Sport. This is the 53, and we'll talk about the engine in a second. First of all, I love this optional frozen blue paint. And what does it say here? Turbo. We got a turbocharged engine. Now, we do have an AMG upgrade here. We got the brakes with the cross-drilled rotors. We got 20-inch wheels front and back. Pilot Sport 4S tires, and they look new to me, so thank you, Mercedes, for this press car. Let's take a look at that bad boy under the hood. I love the interior. This is like ash that they call it, and it's beautiful. I really love the interior. All right, so let's take a look under the hood. Very easy. The latch is right on top. I just did it. Here we go. Not much to see here with the engine cover, but it's a 3-liter turbocharged engine, and it has some electric assist. They call EQ, like their EQ Mercedes electric car. Gives you a little more torque, maybe even a little more horsepower. I'm not sure. But here we have the air intake. So you take this cover off, it'll probably look better. So nothing special to write home about. Mercedes typically puts the engines in the back here. We're kind of on the front axle. We're kind of like right in the middle of it. I know the AMG two-door has the air intakes here, and the engine is actually back of the front axle, making it a front mid-engine car. This car, not so much. So a couple things. I was given this car by somebody taller than me. I'm 6 feet tall. He was probably like 6'2", 6'3". He says he can fit in the back, no problem. I'm not so sure of that with this headroom, so let's check it out right now. Oh, yeah, so I really had to duck my head to get in there. So you got the dual pane sunroof that's not open at this minute, but once you're here, it's a ton of legroom. I do just barely clear the back, and again, I'm 6 feet tall. I can probably fit not even 2 fingers above my head, so I think you're lying that there's no way you fit comfortably back here. But legroom comfortably, if you have adolescents, kids, smaller kids, toddlers, I think they would fit just fine back here. The spoiler goes up and down. The trunk is actually a hatch. That's kind of what I like about it, but this spoiler goes up and down at speed. So GT53, it would say 63, and I believe 63S for the full-blown AMG model, but you still get the AMG exhaust here. This car has it. The nice diffuser, double sunroof, if that's your thing. I love Mercedes interior. I think this seat is phenomenal. You can get heated seats, cooled seats. All right, so now that we're inside, you have this huge screen here. It's actually, it looks like one big screen. It's actually 2 separate screens. You have the light, I think they call this ASH, and I really like it. This is probably my favorite spec. You can get carbon fiber here, you can get wood, whatever you want. Start button is behind, so we'll start it up. You see it comes to life. It's very quiet compared to the full V8 AMG engines because it's a 6-cylinder. You have heated and cooled seats here, and I believe, is this massage seats? You have the upgraded Burmeister. I think there's a level above this too, which would give you tweeters up here. This is your lock and unlock, your trunk button, the engine, which we did. The parking brake is hidden down here. Your window switches. Now you can go through the menu here and do the exhaust buttons to make it louder or quieter. You could do the manual shift mode, which will drive, and then you could drive in sport mode. When you go into sport mode, as you can just see, it takes off the auto stop start, and then it gives you individual modes here. Let's do that again so you can see it. So we could go Sport Plus. It unlocks them kind of as we go through it. Individual. So if you go into individual mode, then you could play with other things, like maybe having the sport mode, but not the stiff suspension. So I typically take the suspension off, put the suspension in comfort, put the throttle in Sport Plus, and then I try to get us into manual mode. And sometimes it doesn't always work for me on these Mercedes. Then you can shut traction control off. You can raise the spoiler. So we have the, we'll get going now. We have the, we'll take the, let's see, parking brake off, which we'll put, or pull up. And we will put it in drive. I always forget to do that. I'm so used to manual transmission cars. So the gear selector is right down here. Now it's shifting for us. Sometime it always, there we go. Now we're in manual mode. Maybe you had to be moving to do it. That doesn't make any sense to me, but. So what I'll do is we'll drive now, and I'll give you my first impressions. Now we've done the 63, I believe it was actually the 63S, and that was probably one of my favorite cars. So this only has a 3-liter turbocharged 6-cylinder, and I think we're geared here for a luxury car. So I feel, first impressions, I feel the lumbar support squeezing against me. Let's drop another gear. All right, here we go. Now, it's a heavy car. We only have 429 horsepower, 384 foot-pounds of torque, twin turbo, 3-liter 6. It's got some electric assist as well to give it a little more power, a little better gas mileage. I love the interior in this thing, I'll tell you that. Now, I just drove these same roads with a Mustang GT500, the new one with the dual clutch, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm more confident in these roads in this car. I think German engineering are just better handling. No, that car was much crazier, sounded a lot better in track mode, but this car is heavier and it handles better. Now, those downshifts were smooth. It wouldn't give me a shift down a second there. I wonder why. And we're driving in sport mode. So again, tuned as a luxury car, doesn't have the power of the 63, but for its size and its girth, because it is a heavy car, it actually is holding its own. It shrinks a little bit, kind of like the Panamera does. So we are in sport mode, as you can see here. We got our exhaust in the loudest setting. We have a little regen braking thing going on. Now I'm in auto mode, so I am downshifting manually. We'll put it in sport mode in manual shift mode in a second. So it is upshifting for me when I come off the gas. It is putting me in the highest gear. But you know what? That was fun. Mercedes, I think, wins right now for interiors. Let me know what you think. Who put this car at 72? If you know, I like to be freezing. I cannot take it when the temperature is so high. All right, smooth riding. Even though we're kind of in the sportiest mode right now, my ears just popped, and I'm only at 1,000 feet. I guess here in New Jersey, we're not used to that. It is a very good ride. So the 63S has a much stiffer ride than this car does. This could easily be your daily driver. Your spouse wouldn't know. Your kids would be very happy. Everything would be cool. This is a highway car, good car to go up and down Route 95. That's an East Coast reference, or the New Jersey Turnpike if you're in this tri-state area. I love how they went digital. So Mercedes started going digital around 2020. We just did a review of the GLC 63, not the S, but the regular 63. And I believe that was a 2019 because it still had the analog gauges. Now we're going over some severe bumps here, and this car is really handling the GT500 quite the opposite. So what I want to do here, there we go, now we're in manual mode. All right, so here's a good spot for us to accelerate. Again, we don't have a V8, we have a 6, but we're gonna get going here in a second and do some acceleration for you. Here we go. Now we hit the red line pretty quickly. All right, so now we're in true manual mode. Acceleration is adequate. I've been very fortunate to own a lot of fast cars and review a lot even faster cars. So this car doesn't, 0 to 60 time, doesn't seem as quick to me. But I mean, for all the cars around us, we're still probably one of the fastest cars on the road, and that's the way you should look at it. These cars are very expensive, very expensive. It's up to you whether it's worth it. Special thanks to Mercedes for giving me this press car. We did the 63. I did the 63 press car, actually. I did the 63 a couple times. I think they were 63S's. One with DCH Acura, the red one, and then a white one that I did a press car a couple years ago with Mercedes when it first came out. And I think we also took the car on the track for a hot lap, if I remember. So you can search Glenn's Car Collection. We have 1,000 videos on the channel. Just type in Glenn's Car Collection, the car you want to know about, and believe me, trust me, I've probably driven it or owned it. All right, so now we're going to downshift. Again, we're in manual mode, so the downshifts are good. They're adequate. I wouldn't say they're fantastic, but they're good enough. All right, so let's go here. Let's accelerate. This is a second gear pull. The red line does come pretty quick. Looks like we're about 6,800 or so. It's a turbocharged motor, so we're not going to string it out. These seats are pretty tight. I'm sure you could adjust them. Again, I'm 6 feet, 180 pounds, so make sure your body type fits these seats. It does get kind of annoying at pulling at you when you're in the turns. Every time you take a turn, it blows up that side bolster, and you almost feel like you're getting a gut punch in the ribs. All right, so here we're going to do an acceleration. Now, we don't have the acceleration the AMG did, but it's still more than adequate for these roads. The ride is very good. The full-blown AMG with the 8-cylinder, the 63, had a very rough ride. Now, it is a tight fit in these Recaro seats, though I love them. They're not, if I ate too much for Thanksgiving, I don't think I would fit in them. I barely fit in them. All right, so the transmission did a pretty good downshift there. All right, so let's see. All right, so good. So we got acceleration. I'm going to put it in 1 just so you can see the full-blown acceleration. Manual mode. Little traction slippage there. It does rev pretty fast. For a turbo, I'll give it that. It does rev to the red line very quickly. I'm impressed with the looks of this car. I'm really impressed with the interior. I think Mercedes has knocked, I mean, look at this screen here, has knocked it out of the park. I like these digital gauges. You can fool around with it and do more like more of a classic, more of a modern, a more future. I prefer how they look here. So I think Mercedes really kills it as far as interiors goes. I think they're a step above BMW and Audi. So for BMW and Audi to get the full-blown interior, you usually have to go to an Audi A or S8, a Q8 to get that full-blown, really nice diamond stitch interior. BMW, you got to step up to the 8 Series. And that cop was in a good spot there. And luckily, he was looking for bigger fish to fry, because he had me good dead to rights there. So getting back to interiors, there is, you really got to step up to the highest models, where I think Mercedes does a good interior on any model that has real leather. Because even like the GLC that we reviewed, and typically the C-classes, you get that leatherette, which just definitely is nice as real leather. And we can't win today. We always get behind one of these very slow cars here. So manual mode is responsive. I'm going to go to 4th gear here, and then I'm going to pull on the paddle, see if it'll downshift 2 gears. No, so it only downshifted 1. All right, so there's a lot to like here. What I don't like is the engine needs to be more powerful. It's got a decent 0 to 60 time. So if you're just, you know, if you're not like a crazy hardcore enthusiast purist like I am, you won't care about 0 to 60 time. This is more than fast enough. I bet you it's faster than it feels just because of the weight of the car and the way kind of it's geared. You know, this is geared as a luxury car. All right, he moved out of the way. And this car reminds me a little bit of the Panamera, and what I mean by that is actually the faster we go, the more that it shrinks. So it's a good looking car. Your coworkers will be jealous. They'll think you have just gotten a raise, and you will love this car. The only downside, honestly, I see are 2 things. The price, it's very expensive, these GT models for Mercedes, and obviously the power. If I'm going to spend that much money, I could get, you know, a much faster car for that price. It won't have an interior like this. It probably won't have reliability like this. So I've owned 2 AMGs, but they were both 4-cylinder, the CLA 45 and the GLA 45. I had no problems with either car, and they were a blast to drive. And downshift there. And again, this car did, the car I drove just before this is the Mustang GT 500. And this is actually, I'm more confident in the turns in this car. And I do a lot of real estate business with car dealerships. I'm a commercial real estate broker. I'm sure I've said that a million times. You're supposed to drink every time I say that. And they tell me, like, when they take in trade-ins, the Mercedes are always the best cars, the modern Mercedes. So I think reliability-wise, you would be fine. You're going to have a 4-year, 50,000-mile warranty. They don't do free maintenance anymore, but you could do something that's called prepaid maintenance. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. So you can prepay some of the maintenance and get it at a discount. And that's it. I mean, this is a really good car. I'm very, very impressed with it. I would buy one if I was in the market and this was my price range. I think you can't go wrong with that. All right, guys, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. And let me know in the comments below what car you want to see next. Once there's enough for those comments, I will do everything I can to review that car. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time.